Hello, welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. Um, the other day, it was during the Apostate Prophet and David Wood live stream. I put in a comment that I thought was particularly genius. Nobody else seemed really impressed by it, but I thought it was genius enough to name my current episode after it. 10 reasons Aishas 10 reasons Aishas never get justice against Mohammeds. And of course, I'm talking about, Muhammad and Aisha, the Islamic leader, and also about Muhammad Hijab and his Aisha. Well, at least she claims to be his Aisha. And so, anyway, he has stepped forward and said that he is innocent. And so we'll just take him at his word that he's innocent in this situation. But the problem is, I'm not sure what innocent means in this context because, you know, pretty much, for me, that let me just say my view of what's happening here between this Aisha and Muhammad Hijab. My view is what's really on trial is not Muhammad Hijab. What's on trial is Islam because, with everything, the Misyar marriage and, everything that this woman did, to try to remedy the situation, she wasn't able to. Why? Because this is all permitted in Islam. And so even if Muhammad Hijab gets off the hook and he's as innocent as he says he is, and his supporters say he is, Islam is still guilty because Islam is what allows this. So, hello, Abla, God bless you. Um, hello, Tiger. uh, regards, how tall are you, by the way? And also, um, well, it depends, if, I'm trying, when I try to impress people, like, I tell them that I am 5'10". But in reality, I'm 5'9" and a half. And so, yeah, so I'm 5'9" and a half. And, but, when I'm trying to impress people, I tell them I'm 5'10", especially young snot-nosed kids who think they're really something wonderful, and I want to put them in their place. I tell them I'm 5'10". So, you know. So anyway, so we're looking at Aisha's, more than one Aisha. There's the Aisha of the Hadith and the mother of the believers, and then there's the Aisha of Muhammad Hijab. So first of all, we're going to look at why the Aisha of the Hadith, the 6-year-old Aisha, could not get justice against Muhammad. Okay, I'm just going to give you 6 reasons why she could not get justice. Okay, 6 reasons why how do you do this? February, I don't know how to do this today. Okay, 6 reasons why Aisha, Muhammad's wife, this is talking about the one in the Quran and in the Hadith, the reasons she could not get justice against her Muhammad. Number 1, the Hadith says Muhammad had a dream. Muhammad had a dream. And so there was destiny that they would be together. Um, mm, let me see if I can find this. Um, um, So um, I don't know if I can find but Muhammad said that he had a dream in which Jibril brought Aisha to him on a green rug. Oh, okay, here it is. So I found it. So, there's an element of Islamic divine destiny in their union. Allah's apostle, this is Aisha speaking, said to me, "You were shown to me in a dream. An angel brought you to me wrapped in a piece of silken cloth and said to me, 'This is your wife.' I removed the piece of cloth from your face, and there you were. I said to myself, 'If it is from Allah, then it will surely be.'" Yo, boy, yay. So, anyway, so that's why Aisha, 6-year-old Aisha, um, had no hope of finding justice against Muhammad for marrying her when he was 51, she was 6, because he had a dream. Okay. And in his dream, an angel brought her to him in a piece of silken cloth. And the angel said, "This is your wife." And then Muhammad, always wanting to submit, said, "If it is from Allah, then it will surely be." Sahih al-Bukhari 5125. I want to see the Arabic, see what the رأيتك في المنام يجي بك الملك في سركة من حرير فقال لي هذه امرأتك فكشفت عن وجهك الثوب فإذا أنت هي فقلت إن يك هذا من عند الله يمضى. So, Muhammad married Aisha, his 6-year-old wife, based on, it was Allah's destiny, according to him. So that's why, little Aisha, there's one reason why little Aisha will never see justice, for what Muhammad did to her. Okay. Another reason is because the Quran permits it. Allah also got on board and said it's okay. And this is in chapter 65:4 of the Quran, where it talks about, as for your women past the age of menstruation, in case you do not know, their waiting period is 3 months. That means if you divorce a woman, okay, and they don't menstruate no more, you have to wait 3 months before if they've been divorced, have to wait 3 months. It's called da'iddah, before you remarry them, before someone else marries them, in order to make sure that they're not pregnant. And those who have not menstruated as well, who are those who have not menstruated? All the commentaries say those are little girls who have been married, violated, and divorced. But before someone else can marry them, they have to wait 3 months. Who have not menstruated. And this is part of the justification for this verse, was the fact that Muhammad married Aisha when he was 51 and she was 6. So now you got Allah on board supporting what Muhammad did to Aisha. So that's one reason. There's another reason why Aisha will never get justice. Okay, that Aisha. Okay, and then another reason is her parents agreed. Um, Romana, let me see if I can go over here. Okay. Okay. It is reported. Okay. Uh, okay. The Prophet engaged me when I was a little girl of 6 years old. We went to Medina. Roman, that's her mother, came to me while I was playing on the swing. Some of my girlfriends. She called me. I went to her, not knowing what she wanted to do to me. So her mother didn't tell her that she was giving her to Muhammad. She didn't know. You would think, okay, Abu Bakr, when Muhammad said to him, Allah wants me to marry your 6-year-old daughter. When Muhammad told Abu Bakr said, but we are brothers. How can you marry her? And Muhammad says, we're only brothers in religion. So, in other words, you can marry me, your 6-year-old girl. When he was 50, he was 51 at the time. And Abu Bakr knew by then that if you say no to Muhammad, things can get separated. There could be separation between your neck and your head. So he knew that he had to do whatever Muhammad wanted. And then Muhammad also had the justification of a dream, the dream from Allah that he was going to marry this 6-year-old girl. Okay. But you know what? What do you do? Okay. The mother didn't, Abu Bakr agreed with Muhammad. Okay, you can have my daughter, 6-year-old girl. And then he goes and tells the mother. And the mother obviously knew about it because she went and got Aisha when she was playing on the swings. But she didn't tell Aisha because it says, Aisha says, I went to her not knowing what she wanted to do to me. She caught me by the hand and made me stand at the door of the house. I was breathless, and when my breathing became all right, she took some water and rubbed it on my face and head. She took me into the house, and there in the house I saw Ansari women who said best wishes and Allah's blessing and good luck, and she entrusted me to them, and they prepared me for marriage. Unexpectedly, Allah's apostle came to me in the forenoon, and my mother handed me over to him. At that time, I was a girl of 9 years of age. Okay. So he engaged her when she was 6, and then her mother gave her, and she didn't know what he was doing. She gave her without knowing what was going to happen to her. And so just kind of a very cruel situation, but um, you can say that the parents agreed. So this is one reason why Aisha will never get justice, because her parents agreed to do this to her. Her mother and father agreed. Okay. And then, for a young girl, um, the hadith says that a woman who's been previously married has more right to her person than her guardian. A virgin's father must ask her consent from her. Okay. Her consent being her silence. Her silence is her affirmation. At times, he said, her silence is her affirmation. So, since Aisha didn't say, no, I don't want to go to Muhammad, of course, she didn't know she was going to Muhammad. She didn't know what they were going to do to her. She didn't know. She said, I didn't know what she was going to do to me. So, but because she didn't know, she didn't object. And according to these great wise words, it says, at times, her silence is her affirmation. Samtaha kararha. So when she doesn't say nothing, that means she's agreeing. So that's why Aisha will never get justice, because she didn't say nothing, which means that she was agreeing to go with Muhammad. Another reason is, there's another video. I should show it to you. Let me see if I can find this. Yasser Qadi, one of the top Islamic scholars on planet Earth, or in America, This is what he had to say about the situation.
The Prophet marrying Aisha at a young age.
People who study anthropology and intelligent researchers that are non-Muslim never bring up. Because what is happening here is that we are taking our cultural mores, our cultural norms, and then back projecting them onto the Arabian.
You see, back projecting. We're back projecting. What the heck does that mean? BP, back projection. I wonder if there's a degree in back projectionism.
Society. You see, the age of marriage is something that has no normative, no standard age. And cultures and ethnicities throughout the centuries had different ages of marriage. Shakespeare wrote his famous Romeo and Juliet. Do you know that the first actors that played Romeo and Juliet were how old? 15 and 14 years old. The boy was 15, the girl was 14. For Shakespeare's time,
15 and 14, maybe somebody needs to tell Yasser Qadi that there is a huge difference between a 6-year-old girl and a 15-year-old girl. There's a huge difference. You know, if you're 81, the difference between an 81 and an 86-year-old woman is not, there's not that much difference between an 81 and 86-year-old. But between a 6-year-old and a 14-year-old, there's a huge difference. And he's a Princeton graduate. I mean, what is Princeton putting out there, pumping out there? You know, does he not know that there's a big difference between 6 and 14?
Now, if we had a Romeo and Juliet play, the content and the love scenes and the romance, we would project it onto an 18 or 19 and a 19.
Give me a break.
Or 17-year-old, you know? We would say, oh, this is a young man and a young woman. In our age, in 2014, Romeo and Juliet, we think of like a 19-year-old with his 17-year-old sweetheart, or 18.
Maybe things were different back in 2014, of course. You know, we need to back project to 2014 when Yasser Qadi was saying this. You know, if we back project to 2014, things were different back then. You know,
18-year-old sweetheart. That's our version. Well, when Shakespeare wrote the play, it was for a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old, right? Only 500 years ago. In that age and time, people matured faster. They were not treated like little kids.
14, 15 is different from 6.
The bodies of adults. Adolescence didn't exist in that regard. When you became a young man or woman, biologically mature, you were treated like a young man and a woman. And therefore, culture changes. In America,
Well, sickening to have to justify this.
100 years ago, young ladies would get married regularly at the age of 13 and 14. That is why, until very recently,
14 is different from 6.
Literally like a few decades ago, in some states, including my own state of Tennessee, where I currently live, the law said that you have to be 14 years old to get married. Recently, they changed that, updated that. But when the laws were written 100 years ago, what was the age they put for marriage? 14. Now you tell me, today, if somebody marries a 14-year-old, he's going to go to jail.
And your prophet will go to jail.
But their own grandmothers and grandfathers, forget their own. Let me be totally blunt here. My grandmother, may Allah Azza wa Jal bless her with Jannah, she's passed away. She's the only grandparent I ever met of mine. My grandmother in rural India, back in the 1920s, she got married at the age of 13.
13 is different from 6.
My grandmother. And I knew her as a very righteous, as a very good, Muslim lady. She never complained or she was irritated her whole life. My father married me when I was 13. She had a great grandfather. That's my grandfather. She's a great husband. She had lots of children. That was the cultural norms. Why are you defending Aisha when Aisha was the happiest wife in the whole world?
You see, Yasser Qadi just told us. Yasser Qadi said she was the happiest wife in the whole world. She was the happiest wife in the whole world. So we should just shut up. We should just shut up and quit the back projection. Quit the back projection. Okay? Stop back projecting, okay? She was the happiest wife in the whole world, according to Yasser Qadi. Yes, she wasn't just happy. She was the happiest wife in the whole world. Tiger. Stop the back projection, you guys. The back projection discrimination, you know. Okay. Another reason Aisha, the mother of the believers, will never get justice is Stockholm syndrome. You see, when you're abused, sometimes you give in to the abuse and you start sympathizing with your abuser. It's called Stockholm syndrome. And it seems like that's what happened to Aisha. When you're 6 years old and your parents give you away to a 51-year-old man, you know what? And you guys, you know the story of Aisha, the danger of it isn't so, I mean, it is so much what happened to that little girl, but it's also that it's still going on because of what Muhammad did. And we could look up videos right now, so easy, of little girls. In fact, I've got some pictures, you guys. I've got some pictures here. Let me show you some of the pictures I got. I've got some pictures. I took pictures of this the other day of little girls. Okay, here's 8-year-old bride dies from internal bleeding on her wedding night. 8-year-old girl dies from internal bleeding on her wedding night. On her wedding, look at that little girl, 8 years old. That's her beautiful husband there. She died from internal bleeding on her wedding night. Let me see if I have a couple more here. Some of these, if you see the video, it'll make you throw up. Here's another one. There's another one. Look at that guy, the little girl. It says, and then people ask why so many young girls, 10 to 14, are raped in places like UK. They bring this mindset with them from countries, from a culture of child abuse. And then there's this picture of a guy from Iraq with that little girl. It says, marriage with a 9-year-old child is permitted in Iraq. And if you look at the video, the little girl's kissing the guy. You think, see, silence is consent. Lord Jesus. So anyway, those are the reasons. And that Aisha, the mother of the believers, will never get justice from her Muhammad. Okay. Now, let's look at the current situation. The current situation is another Aisha and another Muhammad. It's Aisha, the woman who, it's this Muhammad Hijab. This Muhammad is Muhammad Hijab, and this Aisha is right now. This is kind of bringing the spotlight to Misyar.
Does he have any children, any kids?
Permitted in Islam. And Misyar marriage is essentially that the guy comes and has sex when he wants. The woman stays at her family home, or she doesn't need, she could stay in a hotel. In this case, it was kind of a hotel. I don't want to say, what, Marriott or, Motel 6. Maybe it's a Holiday Inn marriage, where you just meet the woman in the hotel whenever the man wants to see her. He doesn't have to pay for her kids. He doesn't want to have kids. He just wants to meet for sex. It was a sex marriage, and it's called Misyar. And so why will this Aisha, her name is Aisha, or actually her name is Bushra, okay? Her real name came out. And you guys, God help her. God help her, because they're doxing her already. And, the Muhammad Hijab supporters are doxing. They've already let her real name out, and saying that she lives, we saw what the thugs, what they did to, remember there was that Muslim apologist, what was his name? I kind of like him. He's funny. He laughs a lot. What was his name? But he said something about Palestine. that didn't jive with the mainstream Muslims in England, in London. And so they went to his house when he wasn't there and broke into his house looking for him, terrified his wife and kids. And Mufti, I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, so, these guys are thugs. And so, anyway, but we've heard from the website called Behind the Veils that what this Aisha said about what Muhammad hijab, not the Muhammad of Islam, but Muhammad hijab did with her. And essentially what happened is that this is what she said, and it's been all over the place. She said that Muhammad hijab, she was going through a divorce, and so she wanted help finding another husband, so supposedly. And Muhammad hijab said that he would help her because she needed counseling. I don't know if she wanted to reconcile to her husband, if there was maybe desire to reconcile. I don't know. But she had a little girl. And so she went to Muhammad hijab. Muhammad hijab gave her, this is what she said, gave her his phone number and said to call him. And then it wasn't too long afterwards that Muhammad hijab started giving hints that he was interested to marry her. And then, and she was enamored because she'd been following him for years online. She's a da'iyah. She's one of those evangelists. She's working with women to spread da'wah, spread Islam. She's from a very committed Muslim family, and she wants to spread Islam. And so she was following Muhammad, had immense respect for him. And at one point, she even calls him a god. I mean, as a Muslim, she doesn't believe he's a god, but I mean, he was so huge to her that she thought, considered him a god. And so she was enamored of this guy. And so he was, he started out dropping hints, that he might want to marry her. And then, but then she would find somebody, a suitor who might want to marry her. And Muhammad hijab would kind of, according to what she said, would kind of discourage that, and he would try to move in on her. And eventually they agreed and they got married. He talked to her father, but he didn't show his face. And so they met up. They had the two witnesses. They had the mahr. I don't know if the mahr was the McDonald's meal, but I'm not sure exactly what the mahr was. But after they got married and had sex, because he's already married and has kids, he says he wants to be just like boyfriend and girlfriend, kind of a misyar marriage, where they would just meet up and and then he went away and came back. And when he came back, he says, I really don't want to, to continue the marriage as a, just keep it secretive. And we just get together in a hotel, have a hotel marriage. And she calls it nikah McDonald's nikah, which I think maybe indicates that the mahr was a McDonald's meal. I don't know. I can't remember if that's one of the details. But anyway, he said to her, that he doesn't want to get her pregnant. He doesn't want to take care of her financially, doesn't want to take care of her kid financially, her daughter, doesn't want to get her house, doesn't want to pay for her power bills, doesn't want to, he just wants this boyfriend girlfriend type marriage, a misyar marriage, which is permitted in Islam. And so she was like devastated, and she's going on about how devastated she was and betrayed, and then she asked for a divorce. And so he granted the divorce. So they got divorced. And she said it's because he kind of sprung this on her after they got married and they consummated the marriage. Okay. And then later on, he wanted to get back together, and she couldn't trust him then, and it is a mess. And so anyway, she came out and did a video expressing all these things about Muhammad hijab. It was on the website, Behind the Veil, and then there was several videos have come up since then, demanding some kind of clarity from Muhammad hijab. And so Muhammad hijab put out this video. This is his video. It's and you can tell from here, you can tell from the title, Behind the Obsession, this troubling story of a stalker fixated on Muhammad hijab. A stalker. Okay. So they definitely, the word narrative isn't on here, is it? But that's the narrative they're putting out, is that she's a stalker. Okay. And that and so anyway, we're just going to listen to this a little bit and comment on it as we go. And the Abu Layth, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember when they broke into his house, and just like, dude, they do it to each other, man. So anyway, let's just watch a little bit of this comment. Well, I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing, but before I do, you guys, sorry, I want to show you another video just before I do this, while we're still on the Mother of the Believers. This is a video of the sheikh, and somebody called him, let me tell you, it's called adult breastfeeding 3 times. And so I don't know if you guys remember, but a few years ago when the Muslim Brotherhood controlled Egypt, one thing they said, there was a sheikh, and I've showed you the video, where that if a man works with a woman, she has to breastfeed him, according to the hadiths, where by breastfeeding him, she becomes his mother, and therefore there will be no sexual interest or tension between them. So there was a sheikh who said, and I've shown you the video many times, there's a sheikh, a very big mufti, who said it on the, Egypt's equivalent of Oprah. The program was like Oprah Winfrey Show of Egypt. This woman named Hala Surhan. And he was on her program, and he was saying that if a woman works with men, she has to breastfeed them, because that will remove sexual tension, because men and women can't be together alone, or, she can't be around a man who's not her husband. And so the way to remove sexual tension is that the woman has to breastfeed that man. So that's what this mufti says, you got to do it in Egypt. And so anyway, this was during that time, apparently. And the guy calls up this sheikh, and he says, there's a girl that works here, and, I work in the government office. And so I only did 3 times. And then she came with this girl. And then it came back after a month, and I did it, 7 times. Because, at one time it was 5 radat, 5 breastfeedings. Yeah. And at first it was 10. According to Aisha, it was 10. You have to breastfeed the man 10 times for him to become permissible to come to your house. But then it was lessened to 5. And so this guy said that he did it 3 times, and he's wondering, but then they did it 7. So he's wondering, asking this sheikh about this. It's in Arabic, but I'll try to translate for you. So, peace be upon you, Allah's blessings. He says, I have 2 questions. I wonder if you can answer for me. I work in a government office. And then we work, there's men and women working, and we don't want to be against the Islamic law. It says, and there was 3 breastfeedings, talking about Aisha and how that she talked about doing the breastfeedings.
إلى بيتها ولم أكمل ال5 رضعات الصحاح التي يحرمن ولكن جاءت بعد الشهر وعملت في الدار هل أعيد تلك الرضعات؟
لا.
And then he says that this woman came and did the breastfeedings, and then she did 7. And so he wants to find out if this is legitimate.
لا. أنت أخطأت
But then the sheikh says, no, you sinned.
أولا وأخيرا. أخطأت أولا.
You sinned in the beginning and in the end.
أخطأت أولا في خلوتك بها وما زلت تخطئ.
And you're still sinning.
ثانيا رضاع الكبير لا يحرم. رضاع الكبير لا اعتبار له لا يحرم. بارك الله فيك.
He says, breastfeeding of adults does not forbid. It does not forbid or make someone permissible. And God bless you. Okay, next call. You didn't say nothing. So yes, Muhammad had such great wisdom about this, and so we could talk about that another time. But let's focus on this one right now, about this other Aisha, but this today is Muhammad Hijab's response to all that's being said about the relationship with this woman. So
Yes, and I'm making dua on them as well.
Making dua on his children as well?
Yes. Their atoms, their cells, their bodies.
okay, she's saying that she's so angry. Now, you guys, you know what? She doesn't really come across as super sympathetic figure. You're not really going to feel sorry for her very much, the way she talks. But she's saying that she's calling for curses on Muhammad Hijab and on his children. Yeah, boy, yeah.
And cancer.
There have been some
Cancer.
serious accusations made against Mohammed Hijab by a woman whom we will demonstrate has had a persistent and concerning obsession with him, dating
So she has an obsession with him.
back to 2021.
Dating back to 2021. So this situation goes back a while.
This response addresses a video produced by a group of American bloggers featuring what they present as the testimony of a woman who alleges that Mohammed Hijab pursued her for a secret second marriage, manipulated her into accepting it, and eventually divorced her after years of controlling behavior. According to her account, even after the divorce, Hijab allegedly continued to pursue her. Despite the complete absence of credible evidence, some, whether out of naivety or a deeper, more insidious bias, have chosen to accept her narrative at face value. In an age where misandry often masquerades as moral vigilance, it seems for some that the mere accusation against a man is tantamount to guilt. The presumption of innocence, once a cornerstone of justice, is all too readily discarded when it is a man who stands accused.
Okay, this is so funny, man. I mean, this is American talk. We're talking constitutional American law here. The presumption of innocence. It's like this is all American legal talk. This isn't Sharia talk, you know, but it says the man is presumed guilty. And wow.
In this video, we will expose the hollowness of these claims and lay bare the reality. These allegations stem from a deeply obsessed individual whose erratic behavior included tracking down Hijab's family and persistently stalking him for years.
Persistently stalking him for years. And you know what? This is one of the reasons why this woman is never going to get justice, is because they've already painted her as this emotionally unstable woman. And it's very easy to go to the hadith and it's very easy to go to the Muslim hadith and to prove this from Islamic sources. You know, if they wanted Islamic proof, and they keep saying this, one thing you keep hearing, you guys, these last few days is Islamically. They keep saying Islamically, okay? And so they keep So anyway, here's understanding. Okay. Here Mohammed is talking to women. He says, "You are greatly given to abuse. You are ungrateful to your husbands. Among women who are deficient in intelligence and religion, I have not seen anyone more able to remove the understanding of a prudent man than one of you." Okay. So deficient of intel. This is what Muhammad said about women. And then you just look at what this guy is saying about this woman. And you know, I'm like I said, I don't think this woman comes out very sympathetic. I mean, the fact that she's saying she's never going to forgive and she's calling down curses on Muhammad Hijab and his children, she's not very sympathetic either. But you know what? The what they're doing to her is, God help her. Yeah.
When her advances were definitively rejected, she responded not with closure, but with a campaign of character assassination. Her motive is not justice, it is vengeance, fueled by emotional fixation and personal resentment. If anyone doubts the legitimacy of the obsession narrative or suspects it to be merely a tool for Mohammed Hijab's self-justification, then I urge you to listen closely to the following.
At that time, I look at this guy as a god, like, because I trust him enough. I was like, I didn't see at all anything wrong that's going to happen. This is for me like the story of the marriage of Salama with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
As evident here, she openly commits a grave act of shirk, of the kind that places one beyond the pale of Islam, by declaring that she saw Mohammed Hijab as a god. While
Okay, when she said that, she's a very devout Muslim and she talks about Allah so much. It's obvious she didn't literally mean that she saw him as, you know, another God next to Allah. You know, it's very clear that she doesn't. But this is where they're twisting her words to make her look mentally unstable, you know, and that's kind of the narrative, the obsession narrative. This is one reason she's not going to get any justice, you know.
she may in some measure be excused by ignorance, such a statement nonetheless reveals either an alarming degree of obsession or a profound psychological instability. In any event, one can clearly discern the motive behind her actions, a calculated attempt to ruin his life through false and malicious claims. This woman managed to obtain Hijab's phone number and made contact with him through his colleagues.
Okay, managed to get Muhammad's phone number. Now, she said how she got his phone number. She said he gave it to her. So, I don't know.
What will be shown includes the nature of their communication, specifically the text messages she sent him.
Okay. See, they're moving real fast here, so you can't see. Your chances of being oppressed and heartbroken in a polygamous marriage as a second wife exponentially increase, and that is the incontrovertible truth which you are entitled to know, because she said that he told her he wanted her as a secret second wife. Well, not, he didn't say secret at first, but as a second wife. And she said, well, he's so religious and it means so much to her that he's so religious. So she was willing to be a second wife. After thinking about it, she did the istikhara. I can't remember. It's a kind of prayer that you do, that Muslims do. And she did that and then came to the conclusion that she's willing to be a second wife. And then he's, you know, we don't see the message that was before this. We see Muhammad Hijab's message to her right here. You know, Salam alaikum, Muhammad. I pray you are well. Okay, when was this? 12. Okay, October 29th, 2021. Wow, it's a long time ago. I leave this to you, inshallah. Thank you for looking into for us. I ask Allah to help you afterward. And so there's a lot going on behind them here, but we can't see it because they look how fast. Can I tell you? You know, listen, I honestly think that you deserve, and what is most likely to ensure that you don't go through heartbreak and oppression is a normal monogamous relation. I give you this advice. Otherwise, I would be cheating you. What makes you so certain that I won't be heartbroken or oppressed in monogamy? Many women aren't getting their rights and are mistreated in monogamous marriages. This is in 2021. I highly respect your help, advice. You have no idea how much thankful I am. I indeed in a very vulnerable and weak situation. But please, I want to focus on the type of man I want to be with rather than his marital status. I have to place my priority on top rather than my needs. Okay, so this is when she was trying to get counsel about who to marry. Okay. Uh, your chances, okay. So this is before he was actually telling her to marry him. You know, this apparently when she was looking, he was um, trying to help her find a husband. Uh, okay, you know, here I'll read this, and then I'm not going to I'm not going to read every single one of them just because it goes on for a long time. I really hate that guy, fi Allah, to be honest. I had a video of him forwarded to me where I believe he has gone against the correct Aqidah and teaching of Islam in regards to addressing divorcees. So I have struggled. Okay, this is in 2021 in November. Okay, so this will be okay. And then, okay, here we have her speaking.
Hi.
Is it Barry?
No. Who's this?
Oh, where is Barry? This is Barry number.
No, I think it's the wrong number that you dialed.
Oh no, it's Barry number.
I wanted to have kids. I wanted to take care of myself. I needed guardianship, me and my daughter, because I can't play both roles.
As viewers can observe, the voice and accent clearly match that of the individual in the video. The following points can be shown without a doubt from these messages. 1. She is persistently initiating contact with hijab. She proposes a misyar-type marriage to him, in which she even acknowledges that she can be divorced if things don't work out.
She's the one who is now. She said that it was him who told her about the misyar marriage after they had already got married and consummated the marriage. It was after that he's the one who said he wanted to do misyar marriage. But here, this is Mohammed Hijab's defense right here. He's saying she's the one who requested. And you guys, when it comes down to he said, she said, and she's this unknown woman who's being painted in this very negative light against one of the most highly respected, to the Muslims at least, YouTubers, is a dawah gandist. It's going to be very hard for her. So
she states she is willing to give up on equal rights. Hijab in response warns her against pursuing this kind of marriage. 2. Hijab explains to her that heartbreak is very likely if she continues down this path. At no point does Hijab spare.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This is a friend of Mohammed Hijab.
That you are well. I'm contacting you regarding the...
This is another guy.
Interested in truth or...
Be quiet. Every single one of us has been burned by...
And there's a guy who's trying to encourage Mohammed Hijab to come forward and be honest. And then this is the guy who runs behind the veil, who broke this story the other day and started this firestorm. Okay. Here it says, her word is her evidence, especially backed by Mubahila. Okay. The witnesses to her marriage is also evidence. If only they would come forward instead of acting like cowards. There is more to come. Expect the Islamic Council of Europe to do its due diligence. The names of the witnesses will be released if they do not come forward. Wow. Dang. It's like the Ammonites and Moabites devouring each other. And so this was all Mohammed Hijab could come up with. My goodness. So anyway, based on this, I'm going to give you my reasons why this Aisha. I told you the reasons why the first Aisha, the mother of the believers, could never get justice. Now let's look at this Aisha. And this is my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. But I get a bad feeling that I'm not wrong. Number one reason why she won't get justice is because Muhammad, according to what she said, Muhammad Hijab lied to her. Well, he's allowed to lie. Muhammad said you can lie in three. There's three. Okay, according to Muhammad in the hadith, it says, it is not lawful to lie except in three cases. Something a man tells his wife to please her, to lie during war, and to lie in order to bring peace between people. Okay, so this is Sahih, Jami' al-Tirmizi. So Muhammad Hijab, according to what she said, lied to her. Okay, and right here, Muhammad said it's okay. It's okay. And she was his wife when he lied to her, according to her. According to her, he lied to her after they got married and consummated the wedding. So he's allowed to lie. So, sorry. And just like she said, she went to the sheikhs and they said to her, this is all permitted. This is misyar marriage. This is permitted. What he's done to you is permissible. So I hope it'll be a warning to other women who are planning to marry Muslims, and men who are planning to marry, because men also marry Muslim women. So okay, another reason why I don't think she will get justice is that he said he did not want to make her pregnant. So he wasn't interested in a relationship. He just wanted her for sex. If what she says is correct, is true, then he's not interested in a relationship. He's just interested in sex. And and there's hadiths about Muhammad's men not wanting to get women pregnant, and about coitus interruptus and stuff like that. Of course, Muhammad said, why do that? Whoever Allah wants to exist is going to come into existence. Yeah, whatever. Muhammad's infinite wisdom there again. They're both victims of Islam. Yeah, that's the truth. They really are. They're both victims of Islam, but they're, another reason why I don't think she's going to get justice. This Aisha is, it's probably the biggest reason, is she's still a Muslim and she wants to stay a Muslim. She's just so committed to Islam. And if you listen to the way she talks, she says, I will never forgive you. And she's calling down, she wants to do a mubahila, which is calling down a curse on herself and on him. And in the interview there, on his kids. And so how can you gain sympathy? Who's going to take your side when you're talking like that? But she says, I will never forgive you, which shows that she's a Muslim. She has not left Islam. She wants to continue her Islam. And it's kind of interesting to me that she's been to so many sheikhs and so-called scholars, and she said they're all on his side. They're all on his side. They're, no matter what she says, they say, well, he's allowed to do that. This is misyar marriage, and he's allowed to do that. So another thing he said, this is what she says. Okay, now these are her words. Okay, she said that Muhammad Hijab said that he could say anything he wants, and he's going to get away with it. He said he's going to get, if she tried to expose it, what she said. Okay, now this is what she said. It's like, I'm not saying that he said this, but I'm saying she said he said this. Okay, that he said to her when she was disgusted and angry, and he said, if you try to expose this, I will, I could do anything. I mean, I'm going to get away with this. Essentially, is what I could get away. All I have, I could say anything. That's kind of what he said. And you know what? It reminds me. It reminds me of, kind of like what happened with Sheikh Uthman. With all the stuff, he took his friend's wife and hid her away in his mother's house. All that stuff, the domestic violence accusations against him, all of that stuff. He lied about the ketchup situation, and yet people are still falling all over him. They're falling all over themselves to be around him. They love him. It hasn't lessened his effect, his audience, and people are like fine with him. Okay. And so I bet I don't think someone as big as Muhammad Hijab, when he is supported by hundreds of scholars around the world who love him because of his, just the immensity of his outreach and the size of his audience. I mean, what other Islamic dawah gets on Piers Morgan? Which other one has Bart Ehrman? Which other one had Jordan Peterson? I mean, he's huge. And so they don't want to forego, some people were saying, one of those Muslim guys on the video, the American guy said, sometimes fame affects these da'wagandists, and they, and it affects them in a negative way. Well, I think it doesn't just affect him, Muhammad Hijab, but it affects all these other scholars who are enamored of his success, who are enamored and in love with his fame and want a piece of it. And so you got all these scholars who support him, no matter what he does, and you got the problem that everything he's doing is halal. Halal, it's permissible. And that's why this woman wants to stay in Islam. If she wants to stay in Islam, then she has to accept that this is what Islam allows him to do to her. She has to accept it. Either she has to accept it or she has to leave Islam. Let's hope she leaves Islam. Let's hope she leaves Islam, but this is everything he did is permissible. Okay. So, but one thing she said that he said, okay. She said that Muhammad Hijab said, Muhammad Hijab is, I wasn't sexually satisfied with her. And that's a good reason to divorce her, And there was also another thing. There's another thing. Yes, I think they are, and especially Christian women who are in love with Muslim men should be alerted by this. But, one thing that's interesting is that, Muhammad Hijab, according to what I heard, had another secret wife before. and he got into a huge trouble with his wife, with his permanent wife. He got into so much trouble that he is scared that his current wife is going to find out about this other one. And so he really wanted her to be secret, just be a hotel McDonald's wife, you know? And so that's what I heard. So, you know, and how sad. Okay. Muhammad said women are deficient in intelligence and can lead righteous men astray. So Muhammad has this view of women, and it's in the hadith, that, you know, can greatly affect how people view this woman. And even, you know, to be honest, you guys, like, even when women come out in America and say this guy did this to me or something, you can ruin a man's reputation. Like, you got the Harvey Weinstein. You know, Harvey Weinstein had so many women that came out, and that's why his case was, you know, broadcast and everything like that. But there were so many others, and you didn't really hear too much about it. Why? Because a lot of times when women say these things, people don't listen. I'm sad to say that, you know, but when you add to that what Muhammad said about women, when you add to that what Muhammad said about women, then you end up with a situation like what this Aisha is finding herself in. And I think she's going to really discover the truth about Islam, because it seems like she says, I want it to be happy. I want to have a happy, normal life. And I want to raise kids and I want to do that. And she says, I'm so hurt in my emotions. He crushed me, destroyed me, and all these things. Very Western talk, very American, very European. Okay. But you're not going to find a sympathetic ear. You're not going to find a sympathetic ear in the Muslim world. Not a Muslim that, no, she's not a new Muslim. She was raised a Muslim, and yet Muhammad Hijab, you know, she apparently got married to Muhammad Hijab, and you know, was expecting that this great teacher of Islam was going to be good to her. But instead, he decided to follow his prophet's example. You know, this reminds me of, there's a movie called Not Without My Daughter. It had Sally Field in it. It was a big movie, but it was very controversial. And there was a woman who, there was a woman who, and this is a true story, who married the Muslim doctor guy from Iran here in America. He's a great doctor. He was very kind to her, rich. Everything was great. But then one day he decided he wanted to go visit Iran. And before he did, the wife was nervous, and she made him swear on the Quran that he was going to come back and bring his wife and daughter with him back to America. So she went with him because he swore on the Quran. But then when they got to Iran, he didn't want to come back. And he wanted her and her daughter to stay in Iran with him. And she took the Quran and went in front of his family and said, he swore to me on this book, this holy book of yours that you revere so much, that he's going to take us back to America. And he swore to Allah that he's going to take us back, but he didn't. And nobody cared. Nobody cared. Why? Because he's a man. He's allowed to lie. And that's what I feel like with her. It's like nobody, I'm so sorry that I just feel like nobody's going to care, you know? So another reason why I don't think she's going to get justice. Another thing is, if she was talking about going to court and stuff, well, a woman's testimony, according to the Quran, according to Allah, is worth half of a man's testimony. So there needs to be two women for one man. The one man being Muhammad Hijab, there needs to be two women to equal his testimony. So don't expect that. Another thing is, she apparently communicated with him a lot of times late at night. That just doesn't look good. And she said that she was willing to be a second wife, in a polygamous relationship. So because of that, I just don't think she's going to see justice. And this thing maybe has, and I don't, you know what? I don't even think this has has what it takes in order to affect Muhammad Hijab. He's so huge. But you never know. You never know. Muhammad Hijab, Alan Dershowitz also said that he was going to sue Muhammad Hijab because when they were on Pierce Morgan, man, I've got so little respect for him anymore. But anyway, Alan Dershowitz and Muhammad Hijab were on Pierce Morgan, and Muhammad Hijab called Alan Dershowitz a pervert. A couple of times he called him a pervert, and Alan Dershowitz said that he's going to file a lawsuit against him. So if he files a lawsuit and then Muhammad Hijab has to deal with this, then maybe it'll affect Muhammad Hijab, But and what I'm interested in is this is already out there. This is already out there in the, what is it called? The e-universe. I wonder if his wife has heard. And he got in bad trouble. According to what I heard, he got into a lot of trouble last time he had a secret wife. So apparently this isn't the first one. And so apparently he got into really bad trouble the last time. So I'll be interested to see what his wife does. I bet so many women are now messaging him to be his Monsieur wife. I actually had a relative who was that way, and she was pretty wealthy, self-sufficient, and so she married a guy who was already married, and he would come once a week, spend a few days with her, and it's a reality, and it just takes you back. So anyway, that's why I think this Aisha isn't going to get any more justice than the first Aisha. When Aishas go against Mohammeds, it doesn't end good. And so anyway, that's what I think. If there's any Muslim who would like to come on, I know it's getting a little bit late. You know what? But we could be here for a few minutes yet. If there's a Muslim who would like to come on and has any opinion about what we're talking about, welcome. Let's listen to a little bit more from our friend Yasser Qadi.
Who are you to get irritated when Aisha herself was the luckiest, most fortunate woman in the whole world? She wasn't complaining. She wasn't feeling anything bad. So in that day and
She wasn't complaining. She wasn't complaining. You know what? Sounds like he wasn't reading the hadith. Because if he read the hadith, she was complaining a lot. She complained a lot. Okay. To say she wasn't complaining, it sounds like he hasn't read his hadith.
age, puberty, intellectual maturity in the hot Arabian climate, in the desert life, young children age faster because you have to take on responsibilities. So
can you believe he's saying this? Dang.
So Aisha's age in her time would be our equivalent of whatever, 16, 17. And I have no doubt that if things proceed in another 100 years, it will be illegal to marry an 18 or 17-year-old.
Dude, I guess I'm so sick of him. I'm so sick of listening to him. Sorry. I thought I could listen a little bit, but he makes me sick, man. Yes. Aisha had a misyar husband, Safwan. That's exactly right, because this situation is almost the exact opposite. And by the way, there's a sheikh, I think it's Ahmed Kabanji. He's a Shiite. He's a Shiite sheikh, Ahmed Kabanji. And he has researched this from the Sunni sources, like Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, al-Tirmidhi, and Abu Dawood, Ibn Majah, all of these. He has, from these sources, and found that there were 141 men who visited Aisha. 141 men who visited Aisha after Muhammad died. Muhammad, one way that she wasn't going to, by the way, this is another way that she wasn't going to get justice, is that Muhammad forbade anyone to marry her after he died. She was only 18 years old when he died. She'd already been married 9 years. Actually, she had been married 12 years because she was 6 when he married her. And that's a funny question. Yes, she was the mother of Islam, mother of the Muslims. But, he didn't allow her to get married after. So that was another way that she wasn't going to get justice. But this guy, Ahmed Kabanji, I get the video, and I did the program with Father Zechariah, where he lists all the men who came to visit her. To visit her, they had to be breastfed by her nieces because she got tired of breastfeeding everybody. So she had her nieces breastfeed them so these men could come to her tent. And it was during one of these visits that, remember the man who came and spent the night with Aisha, and then in the morning she showed him how to scrape semen off of his clothes. She said the Prophet taught her how to scrape semen off of clothes with her thumbnails, with her fingernails. It was one of these 141 men. And so, there's a story. You just wonder what the heck. Jeez. So, yeah. So anyway, guys, I'm hoping that this is just God's going to use this to open the eyes of Muslim women and women who are considering converting to Islam to see the reality, of what Islam teaches. Because really, in my view, what's on trial here is not Muhammad hijab or this woman. Rather, it is Islam itself, because it is Islam that justifies all this. So anyway, you guys, 141 men. The guy got it all from the hadiths. 141 men who came to visit her. So She was very busy. Yes. Maybe she is truly the mother of the believers. Just kidding. Okay, you guys. So if we don't have any Muslims that want to come on, I think we'll go ahead and we've been on for an hour and 15 minutes, which is good. Yeah, let's hope this exposes the truth and Muslims flee Islam. Flee Islam, because it is not worthy of you, dear Muslims. Islam is not worthy of you. So, all right, you guys, thanks for hanging out. If you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. You know what? I feel like I should read this verse. Let's just read this verse from the Bible. Okay. Let's just read this passage from the Bible to end this here. Okay, when Jesus had finished these things, he left Galilee and went to the region of Judea on the other side of the Jordan. Large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. Other side of the Jordan. Some Pharisees came to test him. They said, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason?" "Haven't you read," Jesus replied, "that at the beginning the Creator," that would be Jesus, "made them male and female, and said, 'For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife. The two will become one flesh.' So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate." Okay. So there's what Jesus said. Very different from Mohammed's view of marriage. Very different from Islam. So, all right, you guys. God bless you. Thank you for hanging out. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth, this happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to... That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.